What's happening, guys? Johnny Pickleball here, and we are back and better than ever. We're going to have a great episode with a lot on tap for you. Main topic today is going to be the APP PPA tours, little recap of the season, and a look forward to the 2022 season, as well as a little Nationals recap as well. We also have all our same stuff: epic fail play, top play, Kyle's rant, Kyle's tip of the week. Also going to be seeing what Ryan Sherry's up to. So let's do it, guys. Let's go around the post. What's happening? Johnny Pickleball here with the Around the Post show. Joined with me is Mr. Kyle Yates, as well as Eddie from Eddie and Webby. Kyle, what do you got?
Happy holidays, everybody. This is the season of giving, so go ahead and give us a like, a share, maybe even a subscription.
Perfect. All right, so as we like to start, we always have to see what's going on with our epic fail play of the week. Eddie, roll it. All right, here we go.
Oh! in the head. He goes right after him on the ground.
Oh, it's perfect. That's so good. As he's rolling around, even better. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't know where it's from. I don't know. It looks a little chilly, but that's fantastic.
That was so savage. He had the whole court to aim for. He goes right at the poor guy's head while he's laying on the ground. If that ball comes back over the net, is that legal?
Probably not. But it should be, though. But the fact that he's rolling around on the ground, I think he was probably in the kitchen. Who knows? All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you for your epic fail play. So let's flip it. Let's go to the top play of the week.
Drops a little high. Okay. A little better. Working the wind. Off of that. Yes. Laying it all out there. The hustle play. Dude, it looks like a match at least. At least it's not wreck play. Point two.
The ball was out.
Wow. Man, I want her on my team. Does she need a partner for next
pretty
year's
good.
Unvaccinated Nationals?
That's right. That's pretty good. A good dive, good play. Always looking for our top plays of the week. Guys, make sure if you want to send it to us, you can just message me at this point. Message me at Johnny Pickleball. Go ahead and message Kyle Yates, right? He'll take them too. Eddie will take probably one or two as well. We prefer you to go to Eddie first, actually. And then if you can't get a hold of him, just go to us. All good. And, of course, we have to always see what Eddie's up to when it comes to the beverages. So, Eddie?
I like to enjoy an adult beverage once in a while, and I've really started to enjoy hard seltzers over the past couple years. But often I feel like I have to pick between a low-calorie seltzer that tastes artificial or a high-calorie seltzer full of a bunch of stuff that I don't want. And that's why I like Fruit Smash from New Belgium Brewing, which comes in 3 different flavors. And today, I'm enjoying the Berry Blast flavor. It has 4.7 ABV, just 100 calories. It is gluten-free and is made with real fruit. You going camping? Bring a Fruit Smash. Heading to your end-of-summer barbecue or cookout? Bring a bunch of Fruit Smashes. Done with your pickleball matches? Smash a Fruit Smash. Thank you again to New Belgium for sponsoring today's episode, and thank you for your continued support of pickleball. Back to you, Johnny.
All right, perfect, Eddie. That's a lot of smashes. So, and thank you, New Belgium Brewing Company, for everything that you do. All right, so one of our fantastic segments that we like to do is checking in on our boy, Ryan Sherry. So, Eddie, Kyle, let's see what he's up to.
This cannot be real. When was this? Was this last night?
Yeah, so Ryan's been working on some time zone training and some mental toughness, and has been out for about 71 hours. And this is all recent things after his singles run that had probably like 60 people in it the other day in Florida. So the biggest question I have in that whole clip is he doesn't have a shirt on. The girls do, and the only other person is the guy next to him that also doesn't have a shirt on. So it's very interesting times from Ryan Sherry doing his thing, and we'll check in on him later because I'm pretty sure he's got more going on, especially in that 71 hour, not 72. 72 would be too much. So let's check it out and go to our next part. And guys, you can't get this stuff anywhere. Remember, this is epic stuff. Here we go. Kyle's tip of the week.
If you're still looking for that gift for that special someone, don't worry. There's still time to go to pb1965.com and order something nice. We got stuff for men, women, all genders, all shapes and sizes. It's not too late. Go check it out.
Perfect. Guys, you can't find this stuff anywhere. You can't find these tips anywhere. I mean, what a tip. What a tip. Unbelievable stuff. He just does it every time. He just keeps coming out with just new gems. New gems. All right. So now we're going to kind of flip the script again. And let's go to something a little more passionate. And that's going to be Kyle's Rant of the Week. Let's do it.
You know, I was reading the dictionary the other day because, I like to break a mental sweat sometimes too. And early on, I got to this word, accountability. Now, some of you are probably familiar with it, but that's a word that I don't think the USA Pickleball actually understands very well. Because time and time again, and honestly, I think I just sound like a broken record at this point, we see blunder after blunder and mistakes and punishment of members with no real explanation, no apologies, no remorse, nothing. And you have these paying members. I mean, I personally, I've been a member of USA Pickleball for 12 years now, and it doesn't seem like, time and time again, they have the players' best interests in mind, okay? They are punishing players, and they didn't stick up for players with the vaccine mandate. Fine, maybe out of their control. But they didn't really apologize for it. They didn't really stick up for the players when the spin serve got out of hand. They didn't do anything to help it. In fact, they created the rule that caused all the issues and then went an entire year without changing it. And now they just didn't really address it. They changed it a little bit, but haven't fixed it. And so we're seeing these mistakes and they're not fixing them or really caring to fix them. We saw it with the Pickleball Hall of Fame, where someone else created it and they just wanted to copy and make their own too. We see it with their rating system. They don't come up with a great rating system. Someone else comes up with it. They're supposed to be the governing body of the sport, yet they seem to be one step, two steps behind of everybody else. And they don't seem to take charge until somebody else does it better than them. Then they realize their mistakes. But honestly, what takes the cake for me is not all these errors, but their punishment of a certain player at Nationals this year really bugs me, okay? Because you have players at Nationals. This Nationals was so difficult to get into. Not only did you have to go get vaccinated, which some people don't feel like it's even safe for them to do. Fine, we'll get over that. Not only do they have to fly to another tournament and qualify, win a golden ticket, but then they have to fly all the way to California, register, pay all the entry fees, fly there, book accommodations. It's very expensive. And once they get there, they realize that the schedule changed on them once they're already out there. There was no warning ahead of time. They changed it once they got out there for a certain bracket. Okay, some of you probably already heard about this. But imagine that. You're paying thousands of dollars to go through all these hurdles to finally go qualify and play. You fly all the way out there, and they change it to a certain format where the finals are on Sunday, okay? And maybe you can't play on Sunday for whatever reason. Now, not being able to play because of a schedule conflict is one thing. But this player and his partner were disqualified from even playing at all on Saturday, the day before the Sunday that the finals were going to be on. Now, there was a chance that this player and his partner might not even have been in the finals, but that didn't matter to the USA Pickleball. They couldn't even take the chance that they would have to forfeit a gold medal match on Championship Sunday that they paid for some production value, okay? But at least give the players a heads up, give them a fair warning ahead of time. But no, there was no warning, there was no heads up until the week of the event, once the players were already out there, paid all the money to go support them, okay? No apology, nothing. They disqualified this player and his partner from even playing. Okay, explain that. And to add some icing onto this cake, the format that they changed it to, the Best of 5 Championship Sunday, is not even a USA Pickleball approved format. So they changed the format to a format that they themselves don't even approve of. Okay, let that sink in for a second. There are tournaments out there that have to follow so many strict guidelines and restrictions to be sanctioned, to be recognized by USA Pickleball. But then USA Pickleball doesn't have to follow their own rules anyways. So what kind of governing body can just break their own rules? And then there are clear rules that need to be followed that they don't even have any interest in fixing or following. It just blows my mind time and time again after all these things, all these episodes, me on here, complaining constantly, and they still don't see the error of their ways, and they don't apologize, nothing. They just screw their members and say sorry. Actually, they don't even say sorry, because they're not. They just want money. They want more players coming and playing their events, but they really don't care. And it's just frustrating because I love the sport so much, and I want the USA Pickleball to succeed, but all they're doing is pushing people away year after year. And the sport is growing so much, but it's growing in spite of USA Pickleball, not because of it. There's so much more they could be doing, and that's why I'm so hard on them, because I just want them to do better, and I'm rooting for them. But this is one of the last straws, if this isn't the last one, where you're punishing players, disqualifying them for a mistake that you're making against your own rules. That blows my mind. So USA Pickleball, if someone out there is listening to me, what are you doing? Can we get some sort of explanation, please? And you owe this player and his partner a sincere apology and probably a refund before he sues you. That's my rant this week. Merry Christmas, USA Pickleball.
I mean, yeah. Can't top that. Very, very, 'tis the season to give. And Kyle definitely gave us his opinion on that rant. So here we go, guys. Before we take a break, just remember that I don't want you to go anywhere, because we're going to be talking about USA Pickleball once again, and we're going to be talking about nationals, but we're also going to be talking about the APP and PPA recaps, as well as some of the qualifications that are now in place for these APP events and tours, or tour events that they have, and talking about inclusive, being included with everything going forward for all these events. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be epic. A lot to go over. Please, please, please stay with us, because I'm going to be asking for your comments very shortly. We'll be right back.
Want to highlight your pickleball venue? Email johnnypickleball@gmail.com today and bring the Johnny Pickleball Show to your hometown.
Never miss out on new Around the Post content by subscribing to our YouTube channel. More Around the Post action starting now.
All right, what's happening, guys? Johnny Pickleball here. Join with me is Kyle Yates and Eddie from Eddie and Webby. And what we're going to do is we're going to be discussing our main topic today, and that's just going to be a quick recap of the APP PPA tours. Then we'll talk about what's going to be going on for the upcoming 2022 season, and whether or not people are going to be a part of that or do something else or pick a tour or whatever that might be. And then we're going to talk about the USA Pickleball Nationals. Little recap of that. I think Kyle covered a lot of it during the rant, but that's pretty much what we're going to be going over. And the first thing that we're going to talk about so far is kind of just a quick recap. The PPA, APP, I mean, again, this season, all over the map, once again, doing a massive amount of tournaments and kind of solidifying some of their new spots and that you'll see in the next year. Kyle, what do you think of some of the venues this year? For both PPA and APP.
The PPA had some beautiful venues, huge tennis centers. You had the USTA National Campus in Orlando, the Darling Tennis Center in Vegas. They continue to outdo themselves. I hear word on the street next year that there might be an APP tournament at Flushing Meadows in New York. So the venues are getting grander and grander. It's really cool to see the professional level of sport rising. The trick is to find a way to get more people watching online, because we've seen already some venues are able to fill up. Most venues, you see empty stands in the background, which is not great to see. But we need those online views more than anything else. So it's nice for the players to have beautiful, fancy venues. I think it's really cool. But the spectators are probably the most important part of growing the sport. And so I'd like to see 2022 have more crowds and more online viewing. That'd make me a lot happier.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And the participation from all of the athletes, between the amateurs and the pros and between the PPA and the APP, they're all coming out. But, what's really interesting is that there's still about 30 tournaments probably a weekend, if not more sometimes. So it's funny that we all, in pickleball get stuck looking at everything that's happening directly towards us and just our own path and our own journey. And we forget about everything else that's going on. And so I think that's really important to think about as you go forward and just remember there's a lot going on between LA to Florida, New York, Texas, Washington State. There's a lot of pickleball happening right now, and how you get the most out of that going forward is to be open and inclusive. That's a big kind of like word. Inclusive is huge, especially as the sport is growing. So quick question on for the PPA tour, give me a highlight from the PPA tour and the APP tour, Kyle, of this past year. After you.
Sure. Well, the PPA tour with their Masters tournament in California, all white venue, that was pretty fancy. It was a little more, upper class, cool vibe. Well, I'm curious to see if that'll grow more. Some of that side of pickleball. APP tour, I love what they're doing with that next gen. They had a tournament in Texas recently where it's under 22-year-old players. Really cool to see the next group of stars coming out and rising and getting some attention. Some of those kids. So both tours doing nice things. The PPA doing nice things, getting more of the professional, trying to get on ESPN some more, better coverage, trying to grow it that way. And APP finding more local venues and getting the kids involved. It's really cool to see. So both tours, I think, doing a pretty good job growing the sport. But inclusive, that's an interesting word, Johnny.
Yeah, no, that's a word kind of looking at. So as we look forward to the PPA and APP tours, we got to start with the hot topic of it, and that's going to be the APP tour coming out with these. And they did this back in June or July, but it was these qualifications and for pros. The qualifications of saying, okay, for our tier 1 tournaments, you are now going to have to play 6 tournaments to even get in as a professional player, or 4 tournaments to even get in as a professional player, depending upon what tier 1 tournament it is. And it's tough. There's 2 ways to look at it, because for those that play the tour constantly, it's like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever, right? But it's kind of giving people an ultimatum now. 1 year into these tours, the sport is growing like crazy. It's growing. So you're almost turning people, you're not almost, you are now turning people away that haven't qualified for these tier 1s, which is tough for people at the beginning of the year that are now coming into the sport. And they want, and what I mean by the sport, I mean like the pro level. So they're coming into the pro level, they want to play pro, and they're told no for the APP. So what that means is it's one of 2 things that I'm thinking of here. So there has to be, and I don't know, I asked the questions, that's it. So is it that they are trying to create a leveling system, which is what USA Pickleball has always tried to do, is tell you what you can and can't do? And so they're creating this level system that says you have to compete in our tier 2s and our lower level 1s to get to the tier 1s and spend a bunch of money to do so? Or is it to keep out the best players in the world that only come into your top tier 1 tournaments, clean house, and then leave? And so it's admirable to show loyalty, obviously, to your the guys and gals that do only your tour or something. But there is that ultimatum in place now that says pick one almost for professional players. And is the same thing. Is there limits on amateurs? I'm just asking the questions. Is there limit? Do they cap it and say amateurs, you have to be at tier, you have to play X amount to qualify for tier ones? Or is it just, hey, we'll take your money, it's all good, you guys do you? I'm just saying, man. I don't know. It's really interesting because, when you start looking at points, especially with like the World Pickleball rankings, which is, I think it's pretty solid compared to a lot of other things I've seen so far. I mean, I think the Duper rankings are pretty good too, but they're tweaking stuff, and so is World Pickleball. Everyone's always kind of tweaking stuff as we go. But you start to look at okay, so you're telling me I have to go do tier twos, so the lower ones, those are worth, very little points. So even if you do well and stuff like that, you're not catching these people that are able to compete in the tier ones already. You can go play tier ones, but you're still, because of those points, it's just going to be almost difficult. And so you look at the standings, because now there's incentives from the APP. So what is it? I forget. What is it? Top 10? Is that it?
Oh, did they get appearance fees? Like what they complained about the PPA doing at the start?
Yeah. So they get like the stipend and then like housing and stuff like that. But like, if you compete and you're playing all these lower level tournaments, and all these guys are playing the same tournaments that are playing tier ones, you don't really catch those people, and they're playing all the same tournaments you are. So it keeps those same core people at the top. So it's kind of like an unwritten contract with incentives. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's just by appearance and optics, obviously. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I see the reasoning where they want to limit the draw size for some of these larger tournaments where there might be more prize money. But I think we're kidding ourselves when we think the sport's at that point yet, because most of the players really aren't making much money anyways. So forcing them to play 6 or 7 tournaments just to qualify for maybe a local tournament that they want to play in, I think is a little much. So, like, for example, if you get a tier 1 tournament in Delray Beach, Florida, and you live in the East Coast of Florida, you're telling me now to play in your local tournament, you're going to have to fly somewhere else in the country, play 6 other tournaments, spend probably up to 10 to 12 grand, maybe not even medal or make any money just to play your local tournament. So I don't think the sport's there. There's tournaments every weekend already, but that doesn't mean we should have to play 6 of them just to play in this other one. I think we should just play more regional stuff. So if you live in Florida, you play most of the things in the Southeast United States or East United States. Maybe you don't play all these California tournaments. But if you're forcing me to go fly to halfway across the country to play a bunch of other tournaments just to play a local one, I think that's a little much. I don't think the players really can afford it, at least the ones that aren't getting the appearance fees anyways, because those players, the ones actually medaling and making the money, are also getting the appearance fees. They're also getting the sponsors. They're racking it all up, and those other players just outside the top 10 are missing out, not making any money. What's their incentive to keep going? So I think we got to make it a little more open to those players. And originally I thought the APP was doing a pretty good job of that. But with this, I don't know. Now you're just turning into a sub PPA tournament, and it just makes me nervous with some of these players maybe medaling or just outside the medal stand, getting 5th, 6th place in these tournaments, playing hard, traveling, but not making any money. I think it's gonna be tough. I don't know if it's sustainable.
It becomes very difficult, and yeah, that 10 to 12 grand that you're talking about is really that, if you're saying 6 tournaments, so it's really for a lot of people's tournament schedules is usually, one a month, for a lot of people. I mean, just ballpark, and a lot of people obviously play more than that, but then it's pretty much with your registration fees, which are on the rise. And then you have all these other, the flight and the car, the hotel or whatever. And even if you find housing or whatever, it becomes very expensive. So you look at, almost $2 grand a tournament, possibly 1,500, 1,000, whatever it is, but it's up there. And so when you start looking at that stuff and you're saying, okay, so just, you're having to pay then for, as a pro, remember, up to that $10,000 to $12,000 just to compete in a local tournament, that becomes almost like, wow. And then plus, it's just, and I understand, like you said too, man, I understand what they're doing, but, and I just asked the question, is it too soon? Is it too soon? And, you've only been established for a year. Is it too soon? And that's the question, man. And I would love to hear anybody's comments. Do you think it's too soon? Should they just keep it open? The sport's growing still. There's more players coming in wanting to play pro, and they can't travel yet. So, or they can or they can't or whatever it is. People still use their day jobs, even to fund to go to these tournaments and play professional and take a stab at it or whatever it is. And then here's the other side of the coin, because everyone's going to say, well, you can always play the amateur. Well, Kyle, can you play 5-0?
No. In fact, I actually tried at a recent tournament. I signed up in the 5-0 division, and no, of course they didn't let me play.
Right. So
plus,
then
you wouldn't make any money. You wouldn't make any money anyways.
Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, I guess it begs, it raises the question then when you kind of look at this stuff to say, okay, is the APP kind of more focused on the amateur side of things? It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's great. It just, is that what it's doing, is becoming very inclusive for the amateurs and saying the pros, they limit to how many pros they really have. And that's kind of what that is, going forward right now. I don't know if that's their goal or not. I just ask the questions. PPA is looking, rate yourself what you want, come play what you want, come do what you want. We'll put on a show for you. That's kind of what it's looking like, and then you want to travel? Great. We'll have a big party, a big stadium court, nice facility. Okay. And then, but again, it's just the direction these guys are, it's really interesting when you start to look at the, some more of these qualifications, and I've talked to many different people so far about them, and it's kind of the same thing. It's tough. It's just tough. That's pretty much what they come up with. It's tough, and you got to do it. So if they're firm on it, is what it is. Maybe we'll see draws that kind of look like the same size as nationals going forward. So, I mean, bummer. Oh well. All right. So next up that we want to get to, anything else you want to add to PPA APP Tour? Maybe what do you look forward to with the PPA APP Tour actually in 2022, or not look forward to, I should say?
Well, originally it looked like there was going to be just an insane amount of tournaments. I think both tours are starting to cut back a little bit, maybe realizing they might be going over their heads. So I'm curious to see. I know a few of the PPA tournaments either got canceled or rescheduled. APP probably the same way. So, like I said, there's so many tournaments. There's tournaments every weekend, but that doesn't mean we should have to go jump through a whole bunch of hoops to play a local tournament. Personally, I don't know if I really want to fly all the way out to California, 3 or 4 more times next year. It's very expensive. There's not a lot of money to be made for most pros. We just had a pro from California fly and play our tournament in Florida last weekend, and happened to win gold, and probably didn't make a whole lot of money on the trip, considering flights and accommodations and everything for the week. And so it's just a lot, and you're asking a lot of these young pros that probably don't have a ton of money, and you basically have to do it full time to have any sort of success. It's just tough. Like, let's just make it easier for people to just have a day job and then be able to play some tournaments, in their state or nearby every other month or so, and make some money. Not every pro needs to do it full time. That's so hard, and there's not enough money to be made yet for all these players. So let's make it easier on the players to drop in, play a tournament. What's with entry fees these days? Man, my last tournament is $300 entry fees. I get a silver medal, $500. Man, that doesn't cover my travel expenses, and I'm medaling. Imagine the 95% of teams that don't medal. Like, I just don't see how it's sustainable. Maybe I'm just cheap, Johnny. I don't know. I wouldn't want to keep losing money like that. I guess it's for the love of the game, right?
Yeah, the love of the game. It is a business, and people are trying to figure out how to get their piece of it. And I think the APP is trying something. They're trying to make sure that those that stick to the select few that stick to their tour are rewarded. And then, but again, it's hard. We've said it before, man, that you can't build a tour based on a couple players. I think we've said that before. So, going forward, they stick to it. Then we'll see how it unfolds. And you'll probably start seeing the same people over and over and over, and that's kind of how that will be. So, but for the PPA, it looks like if you're wanting to try the pro, it looks like you can just go do that, right? So you can just go do that. You can go If you want to play 5-0, you can go do that. You can self-rate and do that. You want to play 3-5, you can self-rate, go do that. You can go do whatever you want, right? So, whether it be in La Quinta or in California, or it's in, they have new venues coming up too. So Cincinnati is going to be big. They have one in, maybe a couple in Texas. They got, with the Texas Open in Austin, and then, it looks like there's a couple more. APP has a few tournaments. They have their usual setting around the places of, Arizona or Florida, stuff like that as well. So. But yeah, I think you're exactly right, man. It looks like, even when we travel, let's say when we travel, we go to California, we go to Arizona, we go to these places, you get a different crowd at each one. For the most part, you have some of your core same people, but for the most part, you're getting the people that are pretty local to that area or within driving distance or a quicker commute. A lot of times you don't see people from the West that go to, South Florida, or some, but not very many, and you do same with the South Florida that goes to California. You'll see a few, but again, not very many. So that's a tough ask. It's a tough ask for people. So same thing with amateurs. I think it's tough for amateurs too. I know the price is substantially smaller to play those events, but I think that's tough for those guys as well. But again, you're getting the locals from each of those areas, so you're still hitting up Arizona or Florida for the first 4 months of the tour. And now you're saying, from the APP standpoint, we're starting the year, but you can't play like the first 2 or 3. So that's hard. But if you're an amateur, you can. So I don't know. Choices. We all make choices. All right, nationals. Really quickly, Kyle, go for it. A little recap of nationals. I think we saw some the draws. What are your thoughts?
Well. We had a tournament in Florida with 60 guys in the singles, and then I looked at the nationals bracket, and I was like, well, where's the bottom half of this bracket? There was only like 8 players. And you saw that in the doubles too, where it's just a small bracket, and it was still deep. So credit to our national champions this year. I mean, there are still some good teams there, but just not the depth that you used to see in. And what's sad, because the nationals is usually that one tournament every year where everybody's there. And this year, there wasn't a whole lot of people there, at least on the pro side. So, if you were a spectator, you went out and watched it. I mean, beautiful venue. I'm sure they had a great time. But it's just something about it where hopefully next year, USA Pickleball can at least give us a heads up sooner, or figure out a way to make it more inclusive to everybody, or they can have their own separate nationals for the other 50% of the population that was not allowed to play in this one. So I'd like to be able to play nationals next year. It was sad not to be able to defend both my national titles, but I stayed in the great free state of Florida and played an awesome World Pickleball Open in Port St. Lucie, hosted by the APP. Had a great time, and so we'll see what happens next year. We'll see if they make their nationals inclusive to the entire country and not just a small political percentage of it.
Right, so that's a thing. And then they still had about, I think from the amateurs standpoint, they had about 2,200 players. They used the Franklin ball this year. That suited some people's games nicely, so that was a thing. Grind it out a little bit, which was good. I think there was a little bit of an adjustment period, but it's a ball. I think people adjust. It does suit people's games better than others. I can attest to that. It is what it is. It's a different style. And I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to perform, make your adjustments. And so for those in the pros that medaled, man, not taking any. I mean, congratulations to you guys. I mean, I think that's
congrats. Oh yeah, congratulations to the Waters for defending their national title. Congratulations to Tyson McGuffin on getting the forfeit win over Zane Navratil in the singles, and congrats to obviously Tyson and Riley Newman and the Newmans for their first national title. I mean, well deserved. Lindsay Newman was 6 months pregnant, national champion. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I think the tournament still went well. It would have been nice to see a full bracket. Hopefully they can pull it off next year.
Yeah, we had about, I think it was 2 years ago. Obviously, COVID happened last year. So like 2 years ago when we went out there, I think there were about 64 teams in the brackets. And then this year there was 8 in the men's pro. That's a tough. I mean, think about how tough that is. You're talking about 8 teams. there's no wake up and go. That's tough. It's hard. And I think they did have 9 teams, but as you stated, one team was disqualified for no reason. So that was what a bummer for that.
Yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine paying all that money and qualifying, getting vaccinated, flying all the way out there, getting accommodations, registering, showing up, and your partner can't play on Sunday, although you're both there on Saturday, we're both there, but they can't risk you guys possibly playing on Sunday, so you're just not going to be able to play at all. You can't play through the bracket and then forfeit, in the semifinals. No, you can't play at all.
Plus, you have to remember,
really.
Right, but plus you have to remember that, the person that left was supporting people that support him, that have supported him. It's not like, hey, I just don't want to, and I think people get accustomed to the pros just doing things over and over and over, just as a, why wouldn't he or she do this? This is wild. What do you mean? It's national. Because pickleball is still small enough on the grand scheme of things that life and supporting loved ones comes first. And it should. It really should. And so, all of us have lives, man. It's a thing. It's still a thing. And sometimes, it's just what you have to do. It's the right thing.
And Johnny, they didn't change the schedule until the week of the tournament. They didn't give them a 2-week notice or a month notice or at registration. No, they changed it the week of the tournament. They changed to this format.
Right.
Players were already out there. I mean, where's the heads up? How do you just change it? And then when you do change it, at least have some sort of leniency for players. But no leniency. They just punish these players with no remorse. It's just it blows my mind. It blows my mind the lack of appreciation for the members that actually fuel that association.
Now, I will say the one thing I haven't heard, and usually, kind of like the U.S. Open where you had 5-0 players playing in the 3-5. So I haven't heard any issues with nationals on that front because of the registration. That seemed to go on the amateur side of things. It seemed to be pretty smooth, as far as I know. So that's pretty good. Because I know I was expecting something to be I played a 4-5, 5-0 player in the beginning of my singles event in the 3-0 bracket, or something like that. So that happened at the U.S. Open. But, kudos for them, man. It sounded like the lottery process and all that stuff kind of went very smoothly on the amateur side. And, people were taking pictures and having their moments and doing big things that way. Eddie, thoughts on nationals?
Sorry, guys. My money's all tied up in equities right now.
Fair enough. All right. Any thoughts on APP PPA Tour going forward for 2022?
But my money's still tied up in equities. Sorry.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Eddie. Kyle, any last thoughts on APP PPA or nationals?
Oh, gosh. I'm excited for next year. I don't know how many tournaments we'll be playing, but the tournaments are just getting bigger. I'd like to be able to play in some of them. Sounds like I got to work to get into a few of these tournaments, but we'll see. We know. Oh, what I want to talk about. We got some new pairings for next year, some new matchups, some new teams. So it's getting to the point of the sport where now it's kind of getting cutthroat. So we saw some partner drops, some new pairings. It's going to be really exciting to see next year. It's going to be exciting to see Annalie Waters and Ben Johns in mixed doubles. I think people are really anticipating that matchup. We got some new men's doubles pairings and some new women's doubles pairings. So hopefully it gives it a fresh look for next year. I'm curious to know when the first tournament will actually see that. So stay tuned. It's going to be interesting first couple of months of 2022. Those first few tournaments with the new matchups, I think they're going to set the tone for the rest of the year. I know players are going to be pumped up for those.
Yeah, definitely. The PPA is going to have all these new matchups featured. The PPA, if you qualify, you'll be able to see those players. And then, so that's a thing. And then, going forward, you just have to remember, if I'm the tours, I just have to remember that there's so much going on in pickleball around the world. You have MLP happening. You have, the APPs happening, the PPAs happening. You have local legend tournaments happening. You have all these different tournament series that are happening at the same time. The last thing I would really want to do is turn people away. I mean, the APP is aligned with USA Pickleball, and USA Pickleball's mission is to grow the sport of pickleball. So how are we growing the sport if we're turning people away from playing? But again, I understand from a different standpoint of I try to put myself in their shoes a little bit to say they're trying to have loyalty and make sure that maybe top players can't come in and just clean house and leave and only play one event, and or they're trying to create a leveling system and a qualifying thing, which really financially is going to be almost just brutal for a lot of people trying to bust through. As we know, with pro tours, and I mean, almost no matter who you are, to an extent, it takes time to get your legs and get your partners and network that way and grind. So that's a really tough route. It sounds like. So I do look forward to seeing the matchups. So those are going to be really cool. I think that'll be neat, and we'll see what Nationals does next year. And I'm sure we'll have a conversation about U.S. Open as well soon, coming at some point. So awesome, guys. Please let me know your comments. Please comment. You can like it, share it too. I want to know the comments though, please. I'm sure we'll get one from Byron. Happy birthday, by the way. And let me know your thoughts on is what the APP is doing with qualifications. Is it too soon? Is it not? Do you think it's just right on point with where the sport is? Do you not? I'm just curious, man. I'm curious. We raised the questions. I like to know what people think personally. I'm curious just because we only hear so many different sides of things when I do my little research around the country. So very cool. Very cool. So awesome. Eddie, you got anything else?
Nope.
Yeah. All right, cool. Perfect, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back right after this and see what Ryan Cherry's up to.
Pickleball podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
Fun pickleball content. Eddie and Webby on YouTube.
Do you want your top pickleball play featured on our show? How about your game face, or epic fail? Email it to info@aroundthepostshow.com.
All right, what's happening, guys? Hope you enjoyed that Eddie and Webby commercial as much as Kyle and I did. Super funny. It never gets old. It never gets old. It's so funny. All right, cool. Well, speaking of funny, well, I don't know if it's going to be funny or not, but let's check it out. Let's check in once again on Ryan Cherry and see what he's up to. There's so many.
It's got to be a fire hazard.
It's a fire chief's nightmare. That's perfect. Eddie, what'd you think about that?
Lots of sparklers. I like it. Very nice.
It's perfect, man. Awesome. It's good stuff. Always to see Ryan Cherry. He had a great run, man. Congrats to him for getting his first silver medal in singles out in Port St. Lucie, right? Yeah. So made a big run. There's like 50, 60 people in that draw and was able to grind it out, So he had to go out and party for about 70 hours after that, of course, and he'll get right back to it. So,
Well, yeah. Then he immediately texted me asking if I wanted to go practice the next morning. It's like, dude, I need a couple days off.
Exactly. Perfect, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. For me here, Johnny Pickleball, Kyle Yates, Eddie from Eddie and Webby. Oh, we'll be doing this a lot more frequently, that's for sure. There's always so many new things to talk about, and we'll keep it up here at Around the Post Show. See you soon.